Hey everybody, Egnards here to once again talk to you a little bit about being a guild officer and some best practices to make sure that you're an effective guild officer. Your goal as an officer essentially is to make sure that everybody in the guild is meeting the criteria or the mission statement that everybody agreed to when they joined. And if they don't, you are effectively cutting off all of your other members from the rewards or the expectations that you promise them. Now, a week ago, I did a video basically on how to run a TB and some of the best practices that I use to make sure that everybody in my guild is on the same page. It was intended to be a single video. It was not intended to be a series. However, within several hours of posting, I had numerous people reaching out to me on YouTube, reaching out to me on Discord, reaching out to me on Reddit, and even in-game, letting me know that they saw the video, letting me know that what they thought about it. And I gotta tell you, there was a lot of positive feedback. With that said, I decided we're gonna do this as like a mini series so that people who are maybe new to being an officer or who wanna learn a little bit more about how to be an effective officer can maybe step up their game. And today what I really wanna talk to everybody about is member relations and member reach out. This video is actually inspired by a specific person who reached out to me, Nomad Jace on Discord, who is an officer in Xylox crew. He gave me a really great idea for members outreach, which is, well, it was very similar to something that I was already doing, but his way of doing it was much easier, much more intuitive, and it made sure to keep everybody in the officer ecosystem on the same page. So largely in that last week, I've converted our own Discord to be able to accommodate a system that is a little bit closer to the one that he showed me. Now, I did change it a little bit. So I've actually set it up to kind of show something that is more similar to what I'm doing, as well as something that is more similar to what Xylox crew is doing. And I spoke with Nomad about doing this video and, just wanted to give him that shout out because this is awesome. I love when people can share information and make things better for everybody else. So with that said, let's pop on over to Discord. Right, and there we go. And we can see my guild server, and I could go in here and you could see everything that's on there, but I'm not dumb. I don't need you seeing my private business, right? So we set up a little bit of a mock guild over here at the bottom of our own Discord, and we named it in honor of Xylox crew down in the end, but my mock guild in total is Gungan Legion, right? And basically, I'm going to show you my way first, okay? And then I'm going to show you kind of the way that he presented it to me. And I got to tell you, if you have the time, I think his way works really wonderful. But for some of us who maybe don't have as much time, this is an easy way to convert a system you're probably already doing in a very messy way. So my way first, we're looking at our members outreach channel. And you'll see that what I've done here is I've just kind of given a statement. Obviously, I can chat here. Other officers will not be able to chat here, and that's completely fine. It gives us a list of player threads for current members and a list of player threads for former members, right? And it's important to have both because at least in my guild, I've found that we do have people sometimes come back to us, people that have left on good terms. Maybe they took a 3-month break from the game and they're back. Maybe they needed to be in a more casual environment for a little while because life was going on and they just didn't want to mess up rewards for other people. Or maybe they wanted to try their hand at something a little bit more try hard and they realized it wasn't for them. So having these former member threads are very important. You'll also notice that it kind of looks like a repeat, right? It says Moonborn, ally code 8675309, and then it says Moonborn again in plain text. And the reason for that is simple. What I've basically done is I've linked a thread, right? And these threads are not private. They are public threads because this channel itself is going to be private, right? To just my moderators or to my officers are the only ones that can see it. Everybody else cannot. So what I do is I take my threads, I make them, I copy the link, I post it over here, and then I put their name afterwards. And once again, the reason why I do that is that after about a week, Discord automatically closes threads. And once it closes threads, this link is going to be listed as unknown until it's opened back up again. And now that's not a problem when we only have 3 threads here, but that becomes a huge problem when you have 50 plus threads and you're trying to find a specific person, right? So I'm going to put their name here on the side as well so that it's very easy to find. We can keep it in whatever order you want, alphabetical order, ally code order. It really doesn't matter as long as you stick to a system. And basically what I'm going to be doing with this system is keeping track of, I hate to say this, but transgressions. I did show you our Discord very briefly. You probably noticed a channel called Shitlist. And it kind of goes along that same line. So we've mocked something up for Moonborn here where we'll see a list of dates and things that happened, whether there are times where they missed something predominantly, whether there was times that there was an outreach with an officer, and whether there was a positive or negative feedback given. And what this allows us to do, and I've always found doing this through PM a little bit difficult, especially with our specific guild outreach officer, is it allows us to keep track of everything so that if an issue does occur in the future, we can see how often these issues are occurring and whether or not this person has agreed to become a better structured member or whether there's something going on in their life. The important thing here is that we are not a try-hard guild. We do understand that life happens. We do understand that people go on vacation. We do understand that emergencies happen. We totally get it. And those are the types of things that you might see here. So we see on 10/15, Officer Bro reached out. We found out he was in the hospital, right? That's the kind of thing that we're not going to hold against a member at all. And you'll see a list of different things. They missed a bunch of tickets, they missed a deploy, and also something more on the positive side as well. Right before Christmas, Moonborn donated or volunteered to R9 a bunch of shit tier characters for us. What this allows us to do is that when we do need to make tough decisions like whether to leave somebody or keep them in the guild, we can refer to this thread that won't have any conversation. We'll just have these lists and determine if it is worth keeping this person, whether they are an asset, whether the person itself is worth the issues that we're having. Right? So that's my way of doing things. And again, it just takes something that we were already doing in PMs and taking it to threads instead. And I love using Discord threads. We use it all over our Discord, especially for the TV library here, to make things nice and easy for people, right? To be able to find the help that they need. Now, once again, to set that up, super simple. In your officer's area, right? You're here, you're just gonna create a new channel. New text channel, name it whatever you want. We named it Members Outreach. We want to make sure that, and your permissions are going to be different. Every guild sets things up a different way. But you're going to make sure that your normal members cannot see that, that channel. And you're going to make sure that your officers can view that channel, right? Really not too much more than that, other than knowing how to create threads, which you can do up here. Right? Like once again, you do not have to make these private threads at all. It does not matter. And once you have that thread created, you're going to just click on that thread button again, copy the link, and you can post it into your message. And now, as your guild progresses and as the years go on, you're going to find that Discord is not going to allow you to post more characters to one message, and that's fine. You can always split your former members into another message, your current members into the first message, or use as many messages as you conceivably want. But let's go back to the way that Xylox Crew is doing their outreach, which I do really like, but I recognize that I maybe don't have the amount of time needed to do things the same way. So Xylox Crew, and we've named our guild a similar way, actually makes a thread for every single member when they first join the guild. The thing that they do a little bit differently here is that they make these threads private. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. These threads are not just for posting things like I was doing in the outreach. It's actually for private communication with guild members. So as an officer, you might be familiar with the scenario that one day you just get a member messaging you on Discord saying, hey, blah, blah, blah is happening in my life. And then you need to let everybody else who is an officer in the guild know, and it becomes a back and forth telephone game. And then when it comes to outreach, nobody is on the same page. So what they do instead is they create a thread that is open only to that specific member and to all of the officers. And it allows an open communication so that all officers are on the same page and everybody, including the member, can kind of refer back to information as needed. So we'll once again use Moonborn as our example, right? I like to always post a message that specifically has their name as a headline. The reason that I do this is it just becomes a lot easier to search things if I do need to search things. And you'll see right here, I've tagged Moonborn in this message, which allows him to be part of the message. It invites him to the message. And I've tagged all of the officers, which also invites them. And we'll talk more about how to set this up in a safe way in just a minute. This just lets this member know exactly what's going on. You can kind of see Moonborn says, hey, thanks for having me, right? And then we did a little mock scenario, a role play, if you will. And I didn't give him any criteria here. I said he could be mean, he could be nice, whatever he wants to do. He was in a good mood today. Our mock message, hey Moonborn, we saw that during this TV week, there were a few days where you didn't get any activities done, including deploying. Just checking in to make sure everything was okay and nothing crazy was going on, right? Moonborn replied, basically saying he's been working a lot of overtime. It's been really rough. He hasn't had the time, and it was okay to just do his deploys, right? His deploys. And you'll see that my own reply was basically, hey, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. Life does what life does. Just do your platoons, deploy. It'll take you literally 1 minute. You'll totally be fine. But just the next time, if you can, please just let us know so that we know what's going on. Okay, so this kind of gives us an open line of communication with our members with things that maybe you don't want everybody being privy to. Obviously, he was very amicable to this in this scenario. You may have guild members who are not as amicable. Secretly, I was hoping that he would not be amicable, just so that you could see how to talk to other people in those ways. For those of you that do not know, I'm actually a CPI certified trainer, so crisis prevention intervention, and largely these are the kinds of things that I literally teach people how to do in the real world when dealing with students, when dealing with other teachers, when dealing with administrators in schools, right? How to de-escalate situations, letting people know that they feel heard, and coming up with a solution that works. We didn't get that. I kind of appreciate Moonborn for making my life easier this morning, but let's talk about how we can set this up, right? Because it is a little bit different than the way that I do things. And I will say, Xylox crew, I think it's actually slightly different from how you do things based on the screenshots that were sent to me. I'm hoping this will actually help set things up for you in the future to make your own lives a little bit easier. So what I've done here, and it's a little bit different, but I'll explain, is you actually want to make all of your members able to see this. Right now, nobody can see it in mine because it's nobody's business. This is a private thing for filming, right? But you're actually going to want to set it so that everybody can view this channel. Okay, and you're going to give them their normal permissions, but you're going to set it so that they can't send messages, right? You want that specific channel to only have messages from your admins and your officers. So you don't want them to send any messages. You don't, actually, I don't even think they can create threads if you can't send messages, but you can turn those off as well, just in case. and you want to make sure that they can't manage threads, right? Which is usually something that you don't have to deal with because it's very atypical to set a role to be able to manage threads, right? So this should be set as normal anyway. Once we've done that, we've basically set up an ecosystem where everybody can see this channel, but nobody can post to it. And then what we're going to want to do is create another thread. Let's call it Meathead. Meathead, ally code, I don't know, which is ally code be 143666, and we're going to do that again afterwards. Good. We're going to set it so that only the people you invite and moderators can see this. And we'll talk about what a moderator is just so that you understand what that means for the future, who will and will not be able to see things. So I click this, I type in whatever the message is, hey, blah, blah, blah. We invite Meathead, who is not on our server, and we invite the mods. Boom, we have a new thread. What it's really important to do, because this is a private thread, when we go into our thread count here, right on the side, and I know mine's a little bit truncated because of what I've been doing lately, we're gonna find it, and we're gonna unclick anyone can invite so that only moderators can invite people, right? So we're gonna unclick anyone can invite. Discord seems to not wanna unclick this automatically, but I did find out that if I go back, it is indeed unclicked, and that's gonna make it so that only very specific people can invite other people to the thread, right? So we've unchecked that, and it'll look just like Moonborns. Then we're gonna wanna take that same thread. We're gonna copy the link. He's a current member, right? So we're gonna paste that here, and then we're just gonna type it in, Meathead, and the number. What did we say? We said it was 143666, I think, 666, I believe. Yes, it is. We have him set up as a current member. Now, what will this look like if you don't have access, right? So what will your normal members see? So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go back here, and we are going to take our officers, right? This is what will be for everybody though, just so that you can kind of understand. And we're gonna set our officers so that they cannot manage threads, right? Right there. And I am going to leave this thread so that I'm not currently invited, right? So I'm there. And let's go to server settings, go to our roles. We will view the server as Bombat General, and we'll see that now this is listed as no access. The name is still here on the side, but that's completely fine because everybody in the guild is going to have a thread, obviously, so it doesn't look out of place that it's there, right? That gives you and your members a private space to communicate, and it also allows you as an officer to look back through that channel. Oop, let me change this back. Role settings. To go back and view whatever communications have happened in the past to see what's going on in this person's life, whether action needs to be taken, whether you need to show empathy, whatever it is, whatever your guild motto or your guild creed is, right? I can look through, I can see, I can determine the course of action, and so can any of the moderators who are also on that server or officers who are on that server. Now, once again, this is not just something, I know we call it the shit list in our guild, but this is not just something specifically for determining who to bump out of the guild. It does a couple of things. Number one, it gets everybody on the same page in case something does happen. We have had situations in the past where a member has reached out, maybe there was a death in the family, they let one person know about it, that person forgot to message other officers about that situation, and then over the next 2 days, they got a lot of tags for territory wars or territory battles, not realizing, those officers not realizing that this person was unavailable for an emergency reason. This allows those officers to all pop in, see that something has happened, and adjust their tags or lack of tags accordingly. It also is a great space where your members maybe want to bring suggestions up to you or your other officers, or ask questions that they don't necessarily want other guild members to see. I am highly, highly, highly on board the train for this specific idea. Like I said, it was something I was already similarly doing through private messages, but now, thanks to Nomad Jason, thanks to Xylex Crew, I have implemented this system, I'll bet a little bit differently, for our guild, and so far it has been going great. So with that said, a little bit of a Discord tutorial, a little bit of a member tutorial. The reason why this is really important is that it sets a standard for your guild members, and it also lets them know that you're not an asshole, right? Like I said earlier, we consider ourselves semi-competitive or casual competitive. And what that means is that we are going to push everything in the game. We are going to try to stay on top of new content, but we do understand when life happens. We do get when you have to miss a day. We do get when you're on vacation for a week in the wilderness and barely have internet signal, right? We're not going to hold those things against you as long as you communicate effectively with us. And that has given us a degree of respect with our members, to the point where when they do leave, whether they are retiring, whether they feel that we are no longer the best fit for them, I almost always get a message, a reach out that says, hey, this is what's going on. I'll stick around until you find a replacement. Thanks for everything that you did, right? With that said, when that does happen, we're going to take that same thread, right, and we are going to put it in our former member area. That way, if that person does return to the game, right, well, I guess we'll have to delete this one too. If that person does return to the game, we can reference that and see, they left on good terms, or oh yeah, they threw a tantrum and over deployed and screwed us out of 2 stars in TB. I hope that helps everybody. Let me know if there's anything that you want to see in the future, if you have any questions about being an officer, things that you need explained. I've been doing this a long time. With that said, peace out.